There we go. Now we're going to be going live. And here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Syndicate Talks Season 2. And today is a great friend, a client, and of course, co-conspirator of mine, Mr. Justin Thibeault of what is now Credom and DebtorX. So we're in the middle of a pandemic. As you can imagine, money gets tighter every hour that ticks by, and we are in February of 2021. So 11 months ago, when this started to really come home in March, people thought, man, this is going to be tough, but 2 weeks I can ride it out. 2 weeks turned into a month, 2 months, 6 months. We're 11 months later, and there is no end in sight. Why? It's a worldwide pandemic. It's an illness that, regardless of where you sit from efficacy, from as far away as conspiracy theory and alien overlords to the greater good, most of us sit somewhere in the middle. But part of where we are experiencing this right now universally has to do with money. At no time in our marketplace has there been access to less money in our actual pockets than there is at this time. Yet there's more access to the one part, which is why Justin's here today. And that is, we've never had more access to more money, cheaper than we did before. And yet that continues to put us into a spot that means that likely, reasonably, and the inevitability of it says that at some point we're going to have to deal with debt. And for many people now walking the streets in Canada, North America, and across the world, that debt is causing problems. It's causing constraint, and it's starting to harm the fabric of themselves, their family, their businesses, their livelihoods, and maybe even for generations to come. And so it requires thinking and looking at the way money, debt, and more importantly, how you deal with it in a way that's constructive and doesn't leave you damaged permanently, maybe, for the future. And that's why Justin's here today. Justin, welcome to a Syndicate Talks Season 2. And this is action-packed. You've got so much information packed into this time. I'm going to turn the floor over to you right away and let you get started. I will be here to support you, back you up as always. You've got a little studio audience with you today. Feel free to use them, leverage them. And for those people live on YouTube right now, don't hesitate to drop a comment or, of course, follow up with Justin later. And you can find him, obviously, inside of Syndicate, our environment, but you can watch this Syndicate Talks again and again right on YouTube as well. Justin, welcome. Thank you for joining us on Syndicate Talks. And the floor is yours, my brother.
Mitch, thank you so much. And for the warm welcome. Yeah, truthfully, right now, the pandemic is causing a lot of people a lot of problems. The whole premise behind what we've started doing is taking the guessing game out of what to do with your debt. So a little bit of background. I've been in the credit and collections industry going on 20 years. Actually, I think tomorrow is my 20th anniversary in the industry, one way or another. I've done everything from run a collection agency to be a collector to do debt restructuring. Most recently, it's been a lot of the debt restructuring. So for the past, I'd say 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years, it's been working hand in hand with businesses struggling financially and consumers struggling financially. A lot of what we see is, almost ignorance, lack of education. So what happens is people start falling into debt. We start struggling financially. We start taking off more than we can chew, and then we start looking for answers. One of the most common themes that I have when we come through the door, besides the obvious of it's my fault, is that we don't understand how to get out of debt. Why do the banks keep giving us money? How do we address our creditors? They want more than I can afford. What do we do? Well, there's a lot of options out there. You can go bankrupt. You can do a consumer proposal. In Alberta, we're lucky we have a platform called Money Mentors. There's non-for-profit and for-profit credit counseling agencies. There's all of these other options out there. But what we tend to do when we work with clients and when we go through these platforms, we sit down, we talk to a client, and we identify what their spending patterns are. Where's their money going? And a lot of the platforms, a lot of the people that we initially talk to, is they're overspending in a lot of areas. There's a gentleman that I know, and he's got a lovely little tagline, and it's people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And I think that's really prominent, especially in today's day and age, but it carries a lot more weight now than I think it did pre-pandemic. We need to plan. And we need to have a good, solid understanding as to what our financial situation is. Where's our money going? What kind of percentages are we spending on our groceries as opposed to our directly intertwined with our financial income coming in? Are you spending $1,000 a month on groceries for a family of two? Okay, well, if you are there dietary restrictions? Is that encompassed by a lot of dining out? Do you actually have a plan as to how you're going to address things? So what we would typically do working with a client is we would typically sit down with a client and we would go over their financial statement, starting with their family dynamic. How many kids are in your household? Do you pay child support? Are you living in a blended home? And this stuff plays a pivotal role in a lot of the decisions that can be made and a lot of the options that are available. From there, we'll look at the root cause of delinquency. A lot of people say, look, it's not my fault. The pandemic is the biggest reason that we're hearing right now. A lot of people that we talk to say, look, I lost my job. But going into that, I still carried $40,000, $50,000 worth of debt. I'm going through a separation, divorce, whatever those reasons may be. These are essentially the root causes or the breaking point, the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, as to what's catapulted them into the next area of their lives. So when we sit down and we talk about all of these different components with people, it's just to get a true understanding as to what their situation is. And we look at their income. What is your income? And you would be amazed to know at how many people, or you'd be amazed to see how many people don't know what their actual income is. When you sit and you'll ask somebody, what is your income? And they go, I think it's about 3,000. Well, how much do you have coming in your account every 2 weeks? Are you paid once a month, every 2 weeks? What does that look like? So you get a clear understanding as to what money sources are coming in. You look at your child tax credit. Are you receiving child support? Are you paying child support? From there, we look at a lot of the non-discretionary expenses. Now, these are expenses that are really important that we take into all of the equations when we're looking at dealing with your debt. And these are things like child support, spousal support, childcare, health conditions, fines or penalties imposed by the courts, expenses as a condition of employment. These are all things that play into a lot of the options that are available. So you have an understanding as to how much things are going to cost if you looked at maybe doing a money mentors or if you looked at doing a bankruptcy, things along those lines. From there, we get into the nitty gritty. This is the financial details. We look at your housing expenses. And I think that anybody listening, anybody that's in debt, anybody that's considering trying to make changes to their financial situation, this is where a lot of time and effort is spent. You have to look at what your costs out are. So you rent or you own. What's your mortgage payment? When's the last time you had your mortgage reviewed? Does it make sense to maybe try and get your mortgage moved over now versus later? Even though the penalties might be $6,000 or $7,000, do you save yourself more money in the long run by doing that? Does it lower your mortgage payment? Do you have a second mortgage on your property? If you do, hey, have a conversation with a broker. Is there some way that they can maybe reduce the amount? It doesn't hurt to ask the question. And the reality is we're either too apathetic, or we're too stubborn to do it, or we just, are scared of the answer. When we start going through this, there's a lot of areas that people think, hey, this is kind of where I'm stuck at. Well, you can have home and auto insurance. When's the last time you talked to your broker? I find that often a lot of people are overpaying in that area. And if you haven't spoken with your broker, I really encourage you to have a conversation with your broker. And if not, pick up the phone and have a conversation with another broker, right? You can often get the same coverage for less with somebody else. Most of those consultations are free. In Alberta, you've got your freedom to purchase gas or electricity from a provider of your choice. There's a lot of providers out there, guys. You don't have to just stick with the big players. And often you can save yourself what I find is between 13 to 23% of your commodity usage on your bills can be saved by making a switch. I'm not going to promote any of the other companies. If you're interested in having a conversation, we can. But these are a lot of places where you can start cutting back and saving some of your cash. Unfortunately, there's things like our water bill. We're stuck with one individual company in Edmonton. We don't have a lot of flexibility to make changes, but have a conversation with your cable company, your cell phone company. Is there a way they can reduce how much is being charged? Is there a way to reduce your overall cell phone bills? We get into the personal. This is where I tend to have a lot of people make changes. Do you smoke cigarettes? Okay, if you do, what are you spending on cigarettes? Is there a way that you can maybe cut back? Is there a way that you can maybe roll your own? Things to help keep those costs down. Similar with alcohol and cannabis, your dining out, your lunches, entertainment, sports. While these are all good for the your personal well-being or mental state in some cases, we tend to overspend in that. And that's where, we tend to find a lot of extra cash for people to start addressing their debts. Or, and even if you're not going to address your debts on your own, you're going to look at an alternative like a consumer proposal or something. Still making these changes going into one of these platforms and then coming out gives you a lot better control over your finances moving forward. Living costs, again, groceries, food, your grooming, your toiletries, things to that effect. This is, I'd say, the biggest area out of everybody's financial situation that we run into that people struggle with. I want you to think back to the last time you went and did a big grocery order. How much food did you throw out? Did you actually have a plan going into the grocery store? Did you have a list going into the grocery store? I'm bad at this. I bring a list. It's fantastic. My wife gives me a list. I bring a list in. I still overshop. It's impulse. There's little things that you can do. But, when you go and you throw a bunch of food out at, every 2 weeks, every week, whatever you're doing, you go and you throw food out. How much money are we wasting on that? Again, it all boils down to planning. Transportation costs. The auto industry is going to hate me for this, and that's okay. I hate double negative equity situations. I hate when people are driving around a $15,000 car and they owe $45,000 on it. It's something that people get themselves into way too frequently. If you're looking to get yourself out of debt, unless you're married to that vehicle and it's specialized to what you need, sometimes it does make better sense to repo the vehicle and get into something cheaper that's you're not, going to have die before you pay it off. I often tell people you shouldn't exceed more than 15% of your take home on your monthly expenses for your vehicles. That incorporates what your vehicle payment is, your insurance, your fuel, your upkeep, anything along those lines. And if you are exceeding that, then you need to look at reducing that. I'm also talking, like a lot of the people that we deal with, unfortunately, their credit's already shot. So, another little blip on the radar isn't a huge piece for them. We'll talk a lot about insurance, vehicle insurance, life insurance. Have the policies reviewed. Have them reviewed. If you haven't talked to your life insurance broker in 3 years, 5 years, and life has changed, have the policy reviewed. I can't tell you how many times over the past couple of years that we've referred clients out from never talking to a broker to somebody else, and they're getting the same coverage for 50 or 60% less than what they were originally paying. Life changes, health changes, situations change. Again, there's no harm in asking for help. There's no harm in just asking for a quote. And if you don't have, life insurance or disability, it's maybe worth a conversation. By making changes to your financial situation, we can often free up enough money to get you something basic. And I don't sell life insurance. I'm not part of an MLM. I don't sell mutual funds. I have no interest in doing any of that, but I do find the value in those types of platforms that are out there. All of this said, making changes to your financial situation in these categories can often free up, hundreds, in some cases, $1,000 that can be used to start addressing your debt. So one of the things that we found kind of leading into the pandemic is a lot of people spend hours trying to research what their options are. They'll call a licensed insolvency trustee. They want to do a 10, 15, 20-minute consultation, which turns into an hour. Then they call maybe Money Mentors. It's an orderly payment of debt program. Then they call a couple credit counseling agencies, maybe some debt settlement companies. And all of a sudden you have a consumer spending 8, 9, 10, 12 hours scouring the internet for their answers. The great thing with having these consultations is you do get some education from it, but at the end of the day, it's still a sell. It's still a product that's being sold. What we've done is we've designed a platform called Credom. It's, from what I've been able to tell, first of its kind out on the market in Canada, and it's a completely do-it-yourself debt restructuring platform. So in about 11 minutes, which is the time that it takes for you to fill in the information, you are told where you should cut based on certain algorithms, based on the historical data that we have, where you should cut your savings, and then how you can pay your bills. First and foremost, I find great value in fighting through it. If you can fight through it, get your bills paid, you build better spending patterns, you build new habits, you create essentially a new life. By doing that sort of exercise, it can take you 5, 6, 7, 8 years to do it. And in some cases, that's a lot of time. So not everybody can go through and actually manage that amount of payment for that amount of time. But in that time span, what we do is we show you where you should cut, and then we actually give you some examples. So, debt snowballing, debt avalanching are some of the key methods that people use to pay their bills. So we give you the estimate as to how much that's going to cost you. We give you a comparable to a bankruptcy, to a consumer proposal. While I'm not a trustee, it's an estimate. The stuff can be found on the bankruptcy and insolvency website. It's all public information. It's not hidden. We give you a comparable to what Money Mentors is. So going into this, that it's going to cost you roughly $88,000 to pay off your $47,000 worth of debt if you make these changes. That in a consumer proposal, it might only cost you, $8,300 to deal with your debt. You're given the benefits and the cons of both. Well, this site is primarily educational. We do have a component that if you want to deal with your creditors yourself and make some sort of settlement offer, some sort of offer to repay, we give you the tools to do it. Everything is factual. It's an intellectual settlement proposal. We take the emotion out of it. So I've heard far too many times where they say, well, the collection agency yelled at me, so I shut down. Or I yelled at them and then they yelled at me and things didn't go very well. Well, let's look at fact. If it's black and white, it's fact. You're not having conversations to try and sell something. Here's the black and white. Here's what my income is. Here's my expenses. Here's my proof of income. Here, I can prove that I'm behind on my utilities. This is what I'm offering, and this is how I'm going to do it. And so we take the guessing out of what to do with your debt in that fashion. During that, we have partners. So if you don't know who to talk to about your home and auto insurance, we've got partners for that. If you don't know who to talk to about life insurance or about any other of the expenses that you're able to save, we have partners for that. At the same time, we do partner with trustees because they're a valuable resource for helping people get out of debt. Our platform, again, it's designed for education. It's designed to take the guessing game out of what to do. It's designed to show you the different options that are available and to give you kind of an estimate as far as it goes to how much this should cost you, how long it's going to take you to address your debts. So that is really kind of Credom in a nutshell. We've found that a lot of people, again, spend hours searching for answers. They don't know what the answers are. And again, in many cases, it's a sell. You're not having a conversation with us. We're not selling you on the idea of buying our platform or addressing your creditors. We're not selling you on the ideas of any of that. We're simply saying, here's the options for you. And here's the industry partners that can help you. If you want to talk to a trustee, here you go. By doing this, we've taken the ability, or we've taken the steps to ensure that, when you do want to talk to one of our industry partners, you're not having to re-explain yourself a second or third time. Your information, if you agree to have it shared, can be shared directly with the industry partners, taking the guessing game out and essentially saving time, taking the guessing game out of what you have to do for addressing your debts. Bill collectors call. They're going to become a little bit more aggressive over time. I've had a couple calls with some people I know in the industry, and their protocol is to collect. They're going to start suing a lot more. There's going to be a lot more legal files happening. There's going to be a lot more, I don't want to say underhanded tactics, but there are going to be more tactics being employed to have people collect their accounts. One of the biggest things that I can encourage anybody on is to make a decision on addressing your debts. And that way you can start your rehabilitation process a lot sooner than you would by letting this thing run out for 2, 3, 4 years before you make a decision. The longer that somebody waits on making a decision on how to deal with their debt, the longer the rehabilitation takes. You break your leg, you're going to the hospital, it's getting set. You're going to start your process of healing right now. You don't necessarily wait 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks to go and talk to the doctor about, your broken leg because damage is already done, right? And then it just takes you longer to heal. So we really do encourage people to make a decision now. We do encourage people to look at it and understand what your options are, and then choose the option that's best for you. A lot of people are very proud, and a lot of people that we deal with are very, they're upset that they're in the situation. But the reality is you're here, and let's fix it. Debt happens to the best of us. It happens to everybody. It's how you address it, and then ultimately learning from those mistakes. So this platform is designed to give you a budgeting tool. It's designed to give you the education. It's designed to give you the access to the information that's readily available, so you can make that decision and start your rehabilitation. Now, on the flip side, we've got a secondary platform called DebtorX. This one is for my small to mid-sized business owners. This one matches you with the appropriate third party that can help you collect on your AR. So what we see, I've got another company called Walter Joseph and Associates, and we did civil litigation, B2B collections, builders liens. Between November and December, we received in excess of 50 phone calls asking which agency would handle this, who would you recommend for that, what would you do in this situation. So we've designed a platform that matches you with the appropriate third party that can help you collect on your accounts. The really unique thing about this is that we filter through what your specific debt situation is, your specific AR situation, and match you with the companies that will work your accounts. A lot of times collection agencies will spin your account on a dialer. Maybe the balance doesn't warrant a manual touch. Maybe your specific industry isn't a highly liquidable industry, so you're only going to get a couple passes on your accounts. Sometimes your accounts will never see a manual touch. We want to be able to take that process away and help you collect on your accounts. And at the same time, help the agencies realize that it's more of a portfolio. And just because you're not a bank or you're not a telecommunication company that's giving consistent listings doesn't mean that it's not one of those things that shouldn't be worked. We've got a lot of business owners that maybe they might only give 5 or 6 accounts a year. But when you have 50 or 100 or 500 business owners giving 5 or 6 accounts a year, the agencies at that point are able to structure more of a strategy around their collection processes. The creditors are able to leverage more of a portfolio feel through our DebtorX platform that allows them a little bit more focus put on their business, and they're not necessarily kept as or treated as a one-off client. They're now treated as more of a portfolio, and that opens up doors that a lot of the SMEs wouldn't necessarily have access to in the past, right? So I'm going to open it up for some questions right now. I'm hoping that we've got a few of them.
So for the people joining us today live here as well, Ben, Kevin, Doug, Jamie, Shara, feedback, thoughts when you're hearing this? Yulia, I know you're on here with us right now as well. Debt's big and it's heavy. It obviously it's debt, but we all stand to learn a little more. Anybody want to jump in? You've stunned them into silence.
That's fantastic. So the DebtorX
They're calling debtors right now.
The DebtorX platform is supposed to be live here in the next couple of days. We've got we've got agreements with some paralegals, with some third-party agencies, and we're looking to expand that network for other third parties and various law firms, paralegals, to help with that. The thing that I'm going to say about debt as a business, 30 is the new 90. So the longer you wait to collect on your receivables, the longer you wait to make a decision as to how you're going to address your receivables, the less likely you are to recover them. I was talking with a bookkeeper last week, and they said, one of their biggest challenges is that through their process and their group of bookkeepers process is collecting on their AR. They see that the accounts are starting to hit 30, 45, 60 days past due, but they don't make collection calls. That's not their job. So their biggest piece behind this is we're telling our clients, look, you got to start acting on this because you're not going to get paid, but we're not making collection calls. That's not what they're trained for. That's not what they do. So we run into scenarios like that where there are options out there that some companies will look at taking your 30-day past due account for a drastic reduction in commission. And there's some companies that'll even do it for a flat fee where, you're not necessarily as a business owner having to wear the AR hat and you're not necessarily relying on a bookkeeper who doesn't have the strength in that area to collect on it. The whole reason of this platform is ease of use. So if you're 30 days past due on an account, let's put you in front of the company that's going to help service your account. If you're 60 days past due or 90 days past due or whatever that number looks like, there's companies out there that don't want your business at 6 months past due. They want it at 90 days. So as a business owner, you spend the time calling, making phone calls, trying to identify who's going to handle what account. And again, you don't know what kind of work's getting put into the back end of it. You've got some companies that, hey, we'll buy your debt. Again, if there's the opportunity to sell the debt, maybe you're taking, 12, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and you're leaving it up to them to try and collect on the difference. But again, it's all about that matching component. And for a lot of the small business owners that are out there, a lot of the clients that we've had come through the doors, this is one of their biggest problems. They hold on to their AR with a hope. My hope is somebody's going to pay me. My hope is they're going to come through or they've promised to pay me. And then we get busy. We're wearing 10 hats and we don't make a decision and we don't assign that account. And now all of a sudden we're at 180 days and you've lost 50% of your probability of collection because you've wasted that amount of time. Now all of a sudden I'm going to make a decision. So I'm going to start calling a couple of agencies and then I get sidetracked again. And then I'm going to call. And now we're at 365 days past due and we've lost 75% of our ability to collect on these accounts. So from us, the whole design of the platform is, again, take the use out of it, make it as easy as possible for you, the business owner, to assign your accounts to various agencies that want your business, not just take it for the sake of having it in their inventory, but actually are going to take the time to work your business. I spent a majority of my credit and collections industry experience, one with a very large collection agency. I spent about 10 years there. I spent time at a payday loan company. I spent time with a commercial collection agency, amongst some others. I understand the portfolios. I understand what gets work and what doesn't get work. And if your paper isn't liquidable or your industry isn't liquidable, that stuff's just going to sit on the dialer. But if you've got people that excel in that, why not find them? Just as a sidebar, we have 100 registered collection agencies in Alberta, 100. And out of that, I'd say 20 to 30% of them have a physical location within the province. The rest of them don't. So when you go onto, Dr. Google and you're looking for a collection agency in Edmonton, you're going to get your ads that pop up. You're going to get the ones that have the better SEO processes that pull up, but you're not necessarily getting the best agency to service your account. There's companies out there that boast to be the fastest that you can, the fastest, this collection. There's nothing to quantify that. So we get sucked into, well, I'm going to assign an account, but then nothing happens with it. So let's find you the agencies that are going to work your account. Future releases through our DebtorX platform will tell you how long on average it takes for an agency to collect an account. Again, whether that's, because whether one account takes, 6 months to collect versus, 3 days, but at least you'll know kind of a going average. Our whole idea is to have the accounts. So, that, collection agency ABC Collect has had $1 million assigned to them. They've collected, $700,000, and it takes them on average 9 months to collect. Okay, that's a little bit longer. But then you see collection, XYZ Collect has had $1 million assigned. They've collected $100,000 and it's taken them 30 days to collect. Who do you want to assign the account to? Do you want, maybe it's a little bit longer of an approach, but you got a higher probability because maybe these people take the time to actually work through the accounts, or is it, let's just go in and slam it in and hope for the best as to what's going to come out? There's companies out there that'll strategically place your accounts on credit bureaus. There's, a lot of options out there. We're designing a collection process for businesses that will allow you to download certain processes. We will come in and help you create, AR strategies to help reduce the amount of write-offs that you have, to help reduce the risk that you have. So that's the DebtorX platform. Both of these
Justin,
platforms.
if I can, let me jump in here real quick because we got 2 comments and 1 question actually from Shara. Really good insights. We all need to pay down debts and save. Some of the things you mentioned are brand new. Plus, financial situations can change on a dime. So understanding what types of options available is really priceless. And then from Yulia, is there a fee for the platform? Common question, right?
It's an awesome question. These platforms are completely free to the end user. For the Credom platform, excuse me, for the Credom platform, this is completely free. It's educational up until the point that you want to negotiate with your creditors from our platform. At that point, we have a small fee that we charge. I think we're $9.95 as a monthly subscription. And then there's a couple other fees for different products that are out there. On the high end, I think it's $49. As opposed to hiring somebody to do it. I own a debt repayment agency. We charge 10% of the total debt. So if we're getting involved in $100,000, our potential fee is $10,000. That could be $10,000 that's being used to deal with your creditors and maybe increase the offers. But the whole piece behind it is we wanted to make the Credom platform free to the end user. It's educational. We're going to continuously put resources into this to make it better and to give more education. So it's doesn't cost you anything. And once you've become a registered user, you get access to it. You can go in and make your changes, and you can change on a dime. Somebody loses their job. You've maybe had to take a pay cut. Your hours have been cut back. You're able to go in and update your profile at any point in time with your financial situation. And we still make the recommendations, but now you have an understanding that, hey, I'm not going to be debt-free in 5 years using one of these methods. Now I'm going to be debt-free in 6.5 years. And that might be enough to sway you one way or another. Or it might be enough to say, hey, you know what, I really got to maybe cut a little bit deeper or get a side hustle and increase, the income that's coming in so I can stay on track. The beautiful thing about this is it's visual. So you will get to see that, hey, I'm going to take at $1,284 a month, it's going to take me 5.7 years to pay off my accounts. But you get to see line by line how you pay, who you pay. One of the cool pieces on that platform is you get to, if you're if the creditor says, yeah, we're going to stop your interest rate, you can actually go in and change your interest rate to a 0 and watch the dynamic change as far as it goes to how much you're going to be paying. You can go in and let's say it's a credit card 19.99% interest, but they agree to drop your interest rate to 6.99. You can physically go in and make that adjustment and then see what that change does to your financial situation, and go in and see how much that is going to potentially save you, right? So we give you the tools, we give you the education, and then, we're avoiding the intervention component of it, but we do give you the tools for, making those types of offers. The DebtorX platform is completely free to the end user as well. So it doesn't cost the creditor anything to upload files. It doesn't cost the creditor anything for that. Again, there's add-ons, if you want to buy the strategies, if you want to buy the demands, if you want to buy these different things, there's strategies, but we're not charging anything near what other organizations are charging. I had pulled this up just for a reference. So there's a company out there that will do demand letters on your letterhead at $50 a letter. They're a form letter. And the only thing that's happening is you're uploading your letterhead and that letter is getting sent out. But it's a form letter for $50. As a business owner, am I going to pay $50 or do I want to pay $5 for the same thing? Or do I not want to pay anything? Do I want to build my own? Those are the types of things that we look at. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, as a business owner, we do have to take drastic measures to collect on some of our accounts. I tell a lot of the businesses that we talk with regularly, 30 is the new 90, and you have to make decisions quickly. You can sue, okay, which is fantastic. So legal is a great tool, but do you have to sue at day 30? Do you maybe want to wait? What are those options that are available? And who's going to handle it? I love all lawyers, but not all lawyers are built the same. So you may have a family lawyer who, has done a couple of litigation matters 3 years ago. They're not necessarily the best person to go to help you navigate a debt situation. We've got corporate lawyers, which is great. They're great at contracts. They're great at incorporation. They're great at that component of it. But are they going to be the lawyer that helps you with your collection matter? Or are they going to be the lawyer that, navigates, okay, well, you should just pay them, or how do you do that, right? So having access to a broad group of people, I think, helps the business owner be able to make those decisions. And then upfront, all of our agencies, all of our collectors' rates are posted. So if we've got a law firm that does a flat fee legal service for, call it $1,000, that's what that fee is upfront. There's no hidden cost. There's no hidden agenda. If our collection partners are, 30% contingency, what that is. And again, there's no hidden cost. There's no hidden agenda behind that. So it's giving you clear, concise transparency, which allows you as the business owner to make quicker, more informed, better decisions to help your business run. Because again, at the end of the day, cash is king. There looks like another comment in here. After dealing with an insurance agency that I've been for years, I looked at different options and they ended up saving me $220 a month on life insurance. So yes, you're on point. These have to be reviewed regularly. I got one scenario where I had a client that was paying very, very large sum of money every month on their home and auto insurance. They rented a 1-bedroom apartment. They drove a, nothing special vehicle. Vehicle was maybe worth 17 grand, maybe. They were getting charged, I think, $2,900 a year in insurance. No accidents, no convictions, no speeding tickets, no DUIs, no anything. Perfect driving record. We matched them with an insurance broker who took their insurance from $2,900 a year down to, I think it was less than $100 a month. So a $1,700 savings. Well, that $1,700 and that savings that they had per month was enough to put them on a trajectory to actually have all of their debts paid off. They sat down, we put everything through here, and for the first time they were in the green. They were running a negative year over year, month over month. And they said, well, I've been with this company for 15, 20 years. They've got my best interest at heart. I said, when's the last time they reached out to you? He said, well, I got a letter. Okay. When's the last time you had a phone call? Like 15 years ago. Okay, well, this is a problem, right? And so, an encouragement for anybody is have your stuff reviewed. Talk to your broker. Life changes. Jamie, it changes. You don't know how that affects things, right? And so be open and transparent. Have conversations with them. Make sure that, this, at the end of the day, guys, this is your money, right? And yes, insurance is a tool, or mortgage is a tool, or whichever, but at the end of the day, it's your money. And I think, we can all do a little bit better with that. And that's what the Credom platform is designed for, is to help us do a little bit better. But yeah, have a conversation. And it's amazing, $220 a month, call it $2,500, $2,600 a year that you've saved yourself. For somebody that's in debt, that $220 a month being reallocated into some sort of a debt repayment plan can make a huge difference. That's $2,200 after tax dollars that you don't have going out into somebody else's pocket. That's $2,200 that you're, $220 that you're able to, start paying down maybe a high interest credit card or a high interest loan. One of the things that we've come to terms with on our platform is we're not promoting lenders. On our Credom platform, we don't have a single bank or private lender or high risk lender on the platform. While I think there's a great tool, and I think that consolidation loans can be a great tool on the premise of this: if you're going to borrow money, you can't borrow money with your same spending patterns today. So if you are going to borrow money, make sure you make changes so you can get that paid off. Otherwise, what happens is you borrow 10 grand to consolidate or 20 grand to consolidate, and you don't make changes. So you blow through that 20 grand and then you still incur more debt. Now, all of a sudden, you're not just 20 grand in debt. Now you're $30,000, $40,000 in debt. And it's a whole different ball. It's a whole different beast that you're having to deal with. Mm-hmm. So we've made a conscious decision to say we're not putting lenders on our platform. While there are great lenders out there, there are great tools out there, and there are great resources out there, we don't feel that those are necessarily the paths that everybody should go down. So we've made a conscious decision not to do that at this time. Maybe down the road, if we have a lender come and say, look, we charge 34.9% interest on high risk clients, but if they come through your platform, we'll give them a preferred rate of 11.99. We might have that conversation at that point. But again, the whole piece is we're not here to put you into, we don't want to encourage you to get put into a worse situation. We want to encourage you to deal with your stuff and ultimately just educate you. While we do have a column on there for a consolidation loan, we're not having, direct links into lenders at this time. So.
Fantastic. So if we can, and because we've got about 10 minutes left to go here today, and what you're talking about between the platforms. And again, we keep saying platform, but this is education. So if you can summarize, what does a homeowner do right now? What are the 3 things or the 4 things or the 2 things that they should look at today to start to get things moving in the right direction? And for a business owner, what would those 1 or 2 or 3 things be? Suggestibility. Somebody goes, this is brilliant, I love it. But as we know, even the act of picking this thing up and typing with their thumbs might be too much in life right now. So what do they do to start to solve their own problems? And then, maybe get themselves even marginally better than before. And then, of course, come to you and let you do your job.
So first, I would encourage everybody to look at your debt. look at what your situation is, and are you feeling the pinch? Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Are you able to set money aside? And if the answer is that you're not able to set money aside and you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're barely getting by, start looking at your expenses. If you have to pull out highlighters and highlight, what you need versus what you want on your bank statements, do it. For homeowners, I've got a gentleman right now out of Calgary. His house is worth $500,000. He owes $130,000 on it. His business got rocked with COVID. He hasn't had money come through his business since November. And here we are in February. He was offered a loan at 16.5% interest. 16.5%, with $10,000 in fees that he's paying 16.5 points on. Explore your options, pick up the phone. If you're not sure, reach out to somebody who knows. Everybody knows a mortgage broker. And if you don't, I know some amazing ones, so feel free to reach out. Have your mortgage reviewed. Is there a way that you can save, or is there equity that you could use to consolidate at cheaper than 16.5%? I've seen some interest rates go out right now at 8 points on private seconds, just because that's what they're after. Those are competitive with the bank's second mortgage rates or with the bank's unsecured loan rates. Those are great rates to consider. That would probably be the first piece from a homeowner. Look at your utilities. Are you overpaying? Can you get a cheaper rate elsewhere? Can you get locked into a cheaper rate? Talk to your vehicle companies, talk to your banks. Is there a way that you can reduce the loan? Some banks will, if you're up to date and current. Some, FIs won't. Some of the private guys won't. But, it doesn't hurt to ask the question. And it gives you an opportunity to get a better handle on your overall financial situation. If you're looking at, businesses, and this is for business and consumer, it doesn't matter who I'm coaching, talking with, helping. 25%. This is the number that I use. This is the percentage that I use. You either need to spend 25% less or make 25% more. Ideally, if you can do a combination of both, and for a business owner, it's a lot easier. For somebody that's self-employed, maybe you've got a side hustle as a consumer, you need to increase your income by 25 points, or you need to reduce your expenses by 25 points. And that 25% usually is enough to structure something that you're able to stick to start repaying your debt. If you're looking at a 16-year debt repayment and you're going to be stuck at $1,500, you're not going to do that. That's a mortgage. It's not going to happen. But if you can, again, increase by 25 or decrease by 25, you can often get yourself structured into a plan that'll have you debt free, 3 to 5 years. And if those aren't the options and you think that it's just not doable, look at a consumer proposal. There's some amazing trustees out there that aren't going to upsell you to a bigger number for the sake of upselling you. There's some trustees that will. And I mean, it's business, they're still trustees, and they want to have they've got your best interest at heart to, what they think is going to get approved. Talk to them, have a conversation. Again, we work with some amazing trustees throughout the province and throughout the country. So if there's doubt on that side, have a conversation. But I think that's the first thing. Even if you struggle picking up one of these things, that's the first step. Have a conversation and get some help. Whether you are at the point where you're on the verge of shutting your doors or on the verge of a bankruptcy, get the education and make an informed decision that benefits you and your family. I think that's probably the biggest piece is you have to do what's best for you. You have to do what's best for your family, and you have to do what's best for your business.
Mm-hmm. So as a last thought here for everybody, obviously live in YouTube land, for our live studio audience, and thank you to our syndicate members for coming and joining us as always. What do you expect to happen over the next 12 to 18 months? Because this doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. And am I wrong to think that it's going to get better or it's going to get worse? Because lots of people are getting squeezed right now, and it doesn't look like that's going to abate anytime soon.
I think we're going to see a lot of people go out of business. I think we're going to see a lot of people stick with a hope that things are going to get better. And if that one receivable pays out, or if I just get that job. But I also think that a lot of people are going to make a decision to deal with their situation, whether that's through a bankruptcy or not. A lot of the trustees that I've spoken with and that we have relationships with, it's kind of a calm before the storm. People are going to be making decisions. The structures that are put into place for debtor protection are vital. For businesses, if you guys, if we don't act on our lifeline, which essentially is our cash flow, if we don't act on that, it's going to impact you. And, you don't want to necessarily be that business that's going, hey, I need that cash. So I think it's going to be a pretty significant juggling act and balancing act for a lot of people. But I think that we are going to see record high bankruptcies and insolvencies. But I also think we're going to see record high people not doing anything, holding out hope, which in turn, puts them in a bad situation. So I guess my only advice is make a decision and stick with it. Become informed and do it. If you don't have an AR strategy, have a conversation with somebody, myself, other organizations out there, have a conversation, create a strategy and stick with it. If you're in debt, get the education, make a decision and stick to a plan. Again, the gentleman's line is always, people don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. Put a plan into practice and then stick to it. Get an accountability partner, whether that's your spouse or, a third party. Get somebody that's going to hold you to that plan and that's going to check in on you. Because that's going to be the thing that saves you on the execution of that plan. And I think the last piece is if you fall, it's not the end of the world. Get back up, dust yourself off and stick to it.
Justin, you've said a number of things today that, in my regular day job as the Savage of business coach, if you are behind, it's reactive, but the idea is the second part of that word, take the re out, and it means being active, taking an action now. If you are at the front end or things don't feel comfortable, then you need to be proactive, meaning taking advantage or taking action before a situation gets to a certain moment. Or if you're at that spot where right now you're thinking, damn, the water is coming up and it's hitting chin, and I think it's going to cover my nose soon, then obviously, now is the time for action. But more than anything else, you need to do something now, because, 11 months ago, you didn't do it, but right now you has to do it, because 11 months you from now is going to be even a worse spot than you are. And I think we can all agree that the situation requires action, and for you to preserve yourself and your household, your family, to preserve your money, which is going to be the only thing that's going to keep you at bay for longer, and to keep your business solvent during this time. Now, I can issue one challenge to people thinking about money real quick, and to piggyback off of Justin. When marketplaces are challenged like we have right now, it's also never been a better time, one, to find more money, two, to find a lot of debtors, creditors, a lot of companies that you're working with, finding creative solutions to help resolve these problems. And three, this is actually the time when a great many businesses grow. So if you don't get a handle on your money, somebody else is going to eat what you've already built. But if you get a handle on your money, it is also an opportunity, as tough as it seems, to be able to actually develop and grow too, which means that an entire year from now, you could be better off. You can have a better handle and a better sense of what's going on with your debt. You can be in a better position personally as well as professionally, financially, and your business can actually be growing because of it. And that means that still take an opportunity today to do something different than you did a month or 3 months or 6 months or in March of 2020 compared to now. Justin, thank you so much for being able to bring this in here and be able to bring it, because after all, that's part of what we're about in Syndicate, which is being able to find other people, surround ourselves proximately with other people that either know things we don't know how to do, mentorship, get better education, or proximate people that can help support us. And you said something at the end there that really resonated, of course, which is why we are here in the first place. Find an accountability partner. Find a group of people, and that's one of the fun things that we get about Syndicate, is that it's a collection of business owners that are going to give you that resource. Just make sure to be candid, be upright, and as you've said umpteen times in the last 50 minutes of conversation, you can't be hiding. I'm going to paraphrase everything and say, you can't be hiding with your head in the sand. You have to have a really good look at where you're at right now. You have to have a good look at what's going on with your actual money, where you're spending it, what you're spending on it, why you're spending it, and do something smarter. Even if it's just a little bit right now, that's going to have an enormous impact long term. And as every day and every week and every month moves forward, you continue to make a change, continue to make a change, continue to make a change. It's going to be 6 months from now, and things will be better, even if it's a little. It's going to be a year from now, and things are going to be better, even if it's a little. But it'll be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And that you is going to thank you for taking action right now. And for everybody else joining us today, Justin, thank you so much. This is Syndicate Talks, and this is my good friend, Justin, DebtorX, Credom, and all he does is help people figure out what to do with their money. And he just gave you the keys to the kingdom for free. If all you do is follow along for the last 50 minutes and took notes, you're going to have some strategies that is going to help improve your situation, your finances, and your livelihood. And of course, you need to come and check out his platform, because he's literally building the solution that once upon a time used to be hard to find, used to be challenging as hell, and used to be costly. And yet he's bringing resources because they are universal constants and problems. In the marketplace we're in right now, it is accelerating how much time, energy, and money we are wasting when we should be doing other things with it, like taking care of our family, enjoying our life, and of course, building a business that is worthy of building. And now I'm going to sit there and just share the limelight with you for a moment, just like this. Absolutely, Yulia, we've actually got it up on one of the two links is up on the YouTube live feed right now, but mycredom.com, mycredom.com. We'll make sure that you've got to have access and opportunity to it as well. It's on the YouTube live channel, and the DebtorX platform is going to be coming up live here right away. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for bringing the heat when it comes to this. It's something that is scary as hell for people. Money and debt, giving, better information, better education, and of course, giving of yourself in this sort of environment. Get at Justin, get at his businesses. This is what he does. He helps you make better sense of money and the marketplace we're at right now. You're going to need it. And this guy has your best interest at heart. How do I know? Because we've had the opportunity to work together now for the better part of just about a year.
Yeah.
Just about a year right now. We've had an opportunity to really watch what his business is doing and how it's helping people in that marketplace. Justin, thank you so much. This is a Syndicate Talks Season 2. Get a handle on debt. And of course, I am your host, Mitch Cavage, the Savage in Business. You need to find us on Syndicate, that obvious, wonderful organization of like-minded business owners where we come together, we share resources, and of course, we grow our businesses as well. You'll find Justin there. Join us next time on Syndicate Talks Season 2. Check out the rest of our episodes in Season 2 on Facebook as well. Check out Season 1 and check out the other stuff. And of course, join us at a Syndicate event coming up soon. Justin, brother, thank you very much. Live studio audience, thank you very much. Everybody live on YouTube, thank you very much. And I know that we will see you all very, very soon. Otherwise, keep doing it. Get a good handle on your money. And of course, make a massive impact and a change in your life that tomorrow you, next year from now you, 10 years from now you, is going to thank you for following through on some strategies here and doing something better for yourself. Have a fantastic day, and we will see you all very soon.